Um. Anyway, so yeah, I watched The Last of Us today, and boy, do I have a lot to say.
I'm curious, man. I'm curious what you have to say. So I guess we'll go and get straight into Last of Us. Let's talk about overall opinion on the matter without we're not going to get into spoilers right now.
Yeah, no.
But I am curious to hear your opinion on the it in general. So what was your opinion on it?
I'm a
No
huge
spoilers.
I'm a huge Neil Druckmann fan. Huge, huge. For the ability to think outside of the box, to come up with um, the thought process to have instead of our demise as a species be fungal instead of bacterial. That's a whole different concept that a lot of scientists was probably dismissing, and the game itself showed how deadly it could be, right? So again, we are brought into this world by the genius mind of Neil and taken down this path of a journey of Joel, right? And then he finds Ellie, and they have this weird dynamic, and a lot of that stuff isn't broached about in the video game too much because excuse me, the medium wants you to um explore. The movie or the show wants to tell, and there's a lot of extras being told excuse me, that wasn't told to us in the video game, and I love it because I'm talking with my wife, walking her through a lot of the process because she's like, oh my god, this is crazy. But the process of it is certain things didn't happen in the video game, so I'm telling her this is totally new for me, and the backgrounds of it is incredible. The scene setup in the show is probably like 1 to 1 with the video game as far as the aesthetics. I mean, they really captured the whole vibe of the game, really down to, I mean, the casting is spot on for every character. Like so far that I've met in this first episode, the background that you know about with a lot of pieces, set pieces from the video game, is talked about in the early stages of the show. I thought that it was very thoughtful in the approach and the reverence that they had for the source material. The source material is really championed. The source material is really stuck to in a manner that it gives it wiggle room, but it doesn't stifle it. If you can get the understanding, like a lot of things that wasn't said is being said now, and a lot of things that wasn't explained from the game is being explained now, and it's a real treat for a fan of the series, and it's a real treat for somebody that has no idea what it is because I went in as a fan of the series, and my wife went in as she has no idea what's going on. She's completely oblivious to the world, completely oblivious to the characters. We just saw Pedro Pascal in is this movie called The Bubble that's on Netflix, and his range as an actor is very broad. You know, to play the Mandalorian, to play that character, to play this character, and to give you a sense. I got a sense that he was Joel. I got a sense that he embraced the character, and I'm really looking forward to it to see how far he takes the Joel character and how deep he can go with the emotions of the what's going to happen because I know like stuff that is going to happen and I just can't wait to see it unfold in front of me.
Yeah, I have to actually agree. I actually, originally I was a little skeptical of Pedro being cast as Joe,
Right.
but after seeing this, because it's hard to like visualize Joe and not Joe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there's this one scene where he's speaking to like a guard, and it
Mm-hmm.
felt just like Joel was talking. Like if like his
Yeah.
mannerism, how he carries himself. I really like the casting now. I feel like, people's like, oh, he's not white though. It's like, dude, Pedro look like. Let's be real here. He looks close enough to Joel, like his actual appearance. Like,
Yeah.
it's just I think they did a good job. I think Pedro definitely stole the show. In that episode, I felt like him and Tess, especially Tess did a really good job too. She
Yeah.
was a really good 1-to-1. It just,
That was crazy, right?
yeah. Watching this made me even more upset that we could have more stuff like this, but we don't get stuff like this. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, Last of Us in terms of writing is probably some of the best writing in games,
Right.
like the original Last of Us. But
Yeah.
the part that like irritates me is like my issues I have with something like Halo. I felt like the original Halo and the Halo story is good enough to be on TV, told through live action. But I'm tired of these people deciding they want to put their own spin on it. No, go make something else then, like something fresh. Because you see in Last of Us, they kept it almost 1-for-1 on the game so far,
Right.
and it was really good.
I'm gonna say this because I'm the only person that's gonna push back on that. Um, the problem with it is, yes, you want to cater to the core audience. Yes, you want to um bring across that story that they hold so dear, but you want to do it with a little twist because see now in this instance you have the ability to add so many different layers to it, right? And it still stays the same, still stays familiar. You don't have the people up in arms, but then there's the extra that we all want to know. Okay, so that works there. If a director goes into a space and they see Halo as one thing, that's what they're going to bring across to the screen. They're going to read the source material and they're going to say, well, I had an idea where this idea could have been a little bit better over here. And I'm going to do this. And this how you get Master Chief with his helmet off and his cheeks out. Right. And it doesn't fit well with the core audience, and the core audience doesn't like certain things. And then you have people complaining about them not sticking to the source material. So, but then there's instances where the source material is stuck to and it becomes too predictive in nature. I don't want the predictability of it, right? I'm sitting there watching this, and then when they went to scenes where it wasn't in the game or this scene wasn't there, I'm like, okay, this is more. It felt like DLC for something that's already written. So there's a fine line to walk. I wanted to know, is Neil Druckmann really a part of the directing in this? So,
Apparently, he co-directed it, but that could mean anything. Like, we don't know if he was
but he
like,
could have been a consultant standing right there, making sure that source material is being followed. You understand that they don't go off script, and Joe was doing a jig in the middle of the park with a fungus infected dude. I'm just saying, I think it makes sense to have the owners, the writers, the creators there to oversee such projects of this magnitude, because he understands what the core fan base is about, because he cultivated and made the fan base. So I think that's necessary to have when you're writing or when you're directing projects of this magnitude. And,
so
and and it's a very big project. For me, it is.
what you're saying is you feel like since Neil was there and he was probably had a lot of pull in the direction of the show was going, he was like the gamer voice that like,
Yes.
look, you got to keep it to the core to some degree. We can't deviate too much. It's okay to do some things, but it's like, but as far as like the actual story, we can't deviate from that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that he was standing there saying, yo, Joel will never do that, or Elliot never do that. Or Sarah, the way that I crafted Sarah is this type of person. And I think those voices is necessary. Not the Twitter voices, but the voices of said creators is necessary on set. I don't think they should do these movies or shows in a void, devoided of the creators' thoughts and their opinions. I think it's necessary in order to get a project just like this, because this feels like The Last of Us. You can't tell me you didn't walk away from this episode saying that didn't feel like The Last of Us.
It felt almost 1-to-1, to be honest with
Yes.
you. Like, and what I like what they did is they put a couple like wrenches in it to where
Mm-hmm.
you okay, this is what they did in the game, but we're gonna change it up slightly so it is some kind of new knowledge coming into you, some kind of new information. But at the same time, we're not going to deviate from what actually happened. Like, what happened is set in stone, but we're going to change some of the little things in the middle to either heighten what was going on and make it make more sense, or to change it up so at least the gamers have some form of, oh, that just happened.
And let me tell you something. I walked away from this saying Jim Ryan is genius. He saw the project. He probably been involved in the project. He probably watched the project and made sure that the Last of Us remake remaster was done. Because anybody with a PlayStation 5, uh, the new product for the new people coming in that has a yearning for more knowledge or more control over the characters or the environment, or just supreme fans will get this product, and it would get it at a highest fidelity that it has been produced so far. I think that's important because you have a great project, and then you have one of the best stories ever written for video games in its pristine condition. That's something that you want to present to the fan base. So whereas some people looked at it as a money grab, like myself, who was initially there from the beginning ride, I don't think so that much anymore after watching this show. And it was a great judgment call on Jim's part to make sure that it was told and shown in that manner, in my opinion.
And to be honest with you, it looks good with the game too. It's
Yeah,
just like, when factions come out. Not to mention, part one just came out. Part two's been out. Like, people watch these couple episodes, and especially gamers that maybe, you got a bunch of casual people that's just gonna slip in and touch the sand. They're not gonna really jump in it. They don't really game like that. They play Madden, they play FIFA, they play 2K, Call of Duty, and then they leave. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
now since they see something like this, well, okay, I got a PlayStation. Maybe I should give this game a try.
They
And
might
then
stick around.
yeah, and then if they end up liking the other one, which is Last of Us, they end up liking Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2. Now they're probably going to push more sales on Last of Us Part 3 by
Yeah.
just making this TV show as good as it has been already.
Yep. Because I was explaining to my wife, when I was playing The Last of Us 2, that was the first video game where I had a real sense of fear to move my controller. Right. I told us I cried like a blithering idiot. At a particular point in the game, because I became so attached to a character that I couldn't fathom something happening to the character. And it was eminent that at that point in time that something traumatic was going to happen, and it was a choice that I didn't want to make. And I said that's the first time in video games. This is why I hold Neil in such high regard. That's the first time in video games that I had that level of trepidation with a controller in my hand, and it was a different emotion that was brought across to the crowd. I don't care how anybody feels about The Last of Us 2. My position on it is it's probably the gold standard in storytelling in a video game for me.
So I have a side by side on the screen chat where it shows Joel in the game and Pedro as Joe, and like, look, clearly there's differences,
Yeah,
but no one cannot look at these two individuals and tell me that you couldn't confuse one for the other. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I do feel like they did it, man. They did a good job with that. I felt like there was multiple times where sure I know that that's not Joel,
Yeah.
but it was like, man, he did a good job though. Like he did. And what you obviously, let's get into spoilers. Clearly, I think we've done as much as I guess. Let's get into spoilers and then we'll rate it. All
Okay.
right. So spoiler
Okay, we're
alert.
gonna do
We're
some spoilers right
spoiling the
now, guys.
show.
And if you didn't watch the show, leave and come back in probably like 15 minutes. And then you'll be good because I'm not gonna go too heavy. I mean, it was probably an hour long show, or
It's an
45
hour and a
minutes,
half.
something like that.
Yeah. Apparently, some of the run times is like it's like movies. Like an
Yeah,
hour and 45 minutes, like an hour and 30 minutes for a TV show is ridiculous.
that's what crazy.
But you
Yeah.
know what's crazy? By the time I finished that, sure, I knew that it was a long episode, but I wasn't disappointed. I didn't feel
Oh
like
no.
it was too much. I was like, man, first thing I thought is I can't wait till next week. That's the first thing that come to my mind. And you know, the good thing, King, is at this point, man, we've gotten to the point where that doesn't happen a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
to get generally excited over something like that, I would honestly say that that doesn't happen a lot at all. Most of the time, we know what most of these games are going to come out and do. We know what most of these movies and TVs are going to do. But I will say, since it was a video game, it was a question mark. We didn't really truly know if
No.
they were going to be able to hit it out of the park. And the fact that I got to hand it off to Sony, you know, I have an issue of how they handled Halo. I know you liked it more than I did, but I felt like Sony is handling the brand outside of gaming way better than Microsoft is currently. Clearly, we got to see what happens in the new season of Halo,
I
but I
don't
felt
blame
like
Microsoft for that stuff.
But I mean, they at the end they are in charge of it, man. Like they could
They
tell them
should have
no. I'm
had
sure they read scripts. I'm sure they have a lot of say in what goes on with their own IP in a movie, in a TV show.
mismanagement, bro. I mean, because then because you look at this and you say this is done in this manner. It's a different story that wanted to be told, and you have to ask yourself: are you going to follow the books? Or are you going to follow the game? Or are you going to follow your own intuition? What are you going to do? And this is why I feel that the creators are supposed to be there to tell you what is and what isn't. What Master Chief would do and what he won't do. My Master Chief will not have his butt cheeks out inside the in any part of the film. That's just me. The helmet thing. It was some scenes in the game where he would take his helmet off, but you would never see his face. So that's permissible, but these actors also want to be seen. I guess me and you went through that already, and we talked about that. But we have almost 90 people here, and we have 30 likes. Please hit that
Hit
like
that like
button.
button, guys. Hit that like button.
We're trying to grow something, and you guys are the keys to help us grow. All right, so into the spoilers. The initial spoiler that I can go with, and I don't really want to go too hard on the spoilers, to be honest with you, because this package is so dope. But Sarah, his kid, I have a deeper appreciation for his sense of loss as a father because of all he tried to do to keep her, safe. Uh, Joel is very deep in family. He believes in family above all. He loves the hell out of his brother. He loves the hell out of his daughter. And they had such a nice bond in the short early on in the film. They were able, you saw them eating breakfast and her making jokes with her dad, and
Way
she was a
better than the
large.
game.
None of that. We got none of that.
Yeah,
She was
way
such a
better than the
large
game.
part of his sense of home. Everybody has a sense of home. If you go home, you see a dog, you have a sense of home. You go home, see your
And
wife, your kids.
and you could kind of understand. Like I will say, in the original one, I couldn't really put myself in a mindset like that because it was so fast.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And to my knowledge, I think they aged Sarah, didn't they? Sarah
Yeah.
was normally that.
She was younger, but they
She was
needed
like
to
in
give
high
her
school
that.
or something.
They needed to do that in order to show how she was able to go and do what she had to do for Joe for his birthday. Because we come in on his birthday. We come in on his birthday scene, and it's just like the game, but a lot of things was missing from that aspect of it and was told here. This is the great stuff about this medium where they can just tell and you don't have to control anything. And it was told great. The whole opening act where the pandemic starts and how it starts from Sarah's perspective, and then till we got to Joel and how Joel had to be the family protector, even though he had to harm his neighbor. Where he cared much for his neighbors. He did, because if you're gonna send your child over to your neighbor's house without any supervision, you must have some level of love or
Yeah, and what's
respond.
funny
You
is
feel like responsible.
when you get to the point where you're joking about sending your kid to your neighbors, then you have a really good relationship with them because it's a joke
Right.
at that point.
Exactly. So that I love that aspect of it. The little something, those little nuggets for us fans that they brought across, and how she died. How she died at that moment, and how the brothers they will always have each other. You felt that, like, he cared for his brother because it's like, yo, I'm gonna get you safe, and then I'm going back to go get Tommy. Man, in those little instances, those are little tear jerker moments, because there are things that's transpiring and happening. My wife was like, "Oh my God, no!" I knew Sarah wasn't going to be around, for the second act of this opening bell. It was just like, yeah, absolutely, it was heartbreaking, heartbreaking.
Yeah,
And the actors handled it with such class. And then you have that 20-year jump, because remember, he's 35 at this point in time. So now is a 20-year jump. He's 55 now, where he gets the chance to meet Ellie. And the encampment, the level of government oversight that breaks everything down into these little dystopian environments. It was just so disgusting, because they build walls around. And that's when I thought about Attack of Titan. I laughed so much, because I'm like, we're always building walls around to keep everything out and keep us in. But truly, are we really safe? We're not really safe if they really decide to attack. And the little jobs that Joel had to take, but Joel had to, is a one scene that bothered me so much, and I'm pretty sure it's going to bother a couple of people. But Joel had to take a kid and toss him into fire, a dead kid. He had to toss him into the fire.
yeah, that was a crazy moment. They because the kid clearly was infected, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "Look, we're gonna give you this medicine, then we're gonna give you food, and let you play with your favorite toy." They're trying to soothe him because she knew they were about to kill him because he was
Yeah,
infected.
and the lady that he was working with couldn't do it. She was like, I can't do that one. But Joel had to man up, and he picked her up, and he had to throw her in the fire. And coming from a man who lost his kid, you know how hard your heart has to be at that point.
It, and I think the reason he got so cold hearted throughout those years is because he lost Sarah, and he probably in a way blames himself for Sarah's death. So he's going throughout this entire apocalypse like the reason that I lost her is because I wasn't cold hearted enough. I may I could have did something else. Maybe
Yeah,
I couldn't go look for my brother, and that's resulted in all that happening, and the chain reactions throughout the years has made him that cold. You know what I like though is how they built the relationship with Joel and Tommy. Like,
yeah,
because in the original one, he didn't leave because Tommy was missing. He
yeah,
in this one, they're like, we're gonna give him a reason to leave. But Ellie just shows up out of nowhere, which is like an add-on. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay,
Yep.
we're going that way anyway. So let's just drop this chick off, get this vehicle so we could go to him quicker. What I like is just how well it was done. So let's talk about it though. Ellie, how did you feel like Ellie did?
I don't, okay, so casting wise, you got Pedro who looks just like Joe. Oh man. Kid, you couldn't miss that casting with a baseball bat. You couldn't miss it. You couldn't miss it at all. He was Joe. He walked in there. I'm pretty sure that they was like, got him. Sign him up, whatever he wants, put him inside the bag. We got him. Her, on the other hand, I really didn't like her as an actress in a Star Wars thing that I seen. And I feel personally like I got some type of ownership over Ellie. Um like like I own the character. I know the character. She doesn't look like the character because we know who she's supposed to look like. That actress that plays in what's that the Umbrella Academy.
The Umbrella Academy.
Yeah. We know that, well, supposedly, supposed to be like her, but I had
Didn't
to
she
take it
take
for
them to
face
court over
value.
that?
Was I what?
Didn't she take them to court over Ellie looking
Yeah,
too
yeah,
much
she
like
did.
her?
They did because they
And
never
she
asked her
lost
for her
too, didn't she?
license. Yeah, they did, but that's why she looks a little bit so different when it comes to The Last of Us 2. Uh, but she did. She was Ellie. Her acting chops brought it through. You said she was great in Game of Thrones, King. Okay. If you say so, I just couldn't stand her. It doesn't matter, but she was great here. She was I don't know, man. As you become so entrenched in these characters as video game players. We believe we know what Simon Belmont would do or what Sonic would do in this case or what Mario would do. I want to know the level of scrutiny that Mario movie is going to get, which is going to be nuts. But I had to let go and watch and put aside whatever bias that I had preemptively and just release and just watch the show. And she definitely came to play. She had her bars risen to where Pascal was, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be really good. This is gonna be really good. So
I
I'm,
I,
I'm in.
I still don't like the casting. I don't. As far as like a aesthetic look, I still don't think she looks much like Ellie. Maybe she's around the same height that Ellie is, but as far
Yeah,
as like visually, I can't. Joel and Pedro, it's kind of easy to see the two as one, but her, I find it really hard. And but I can't front. She plays Ellie good,
right.
but it's just the looks, man. Like
And that's where I was.
it's
I was with
so
it with
hard
you.
to look past that. Like
But let me ask you a question. Did you watch it with anybody that never played the video game?
no,
My wife said she's fantastic. And I'm
and
sitting there with some imaginary hate inside myself, like, oh, she doesn't. Like,
and, and I guess we're just gonna have to get over that clearly because she's already been cast. The
yep,
show has already been filmed, so there's no going back at this point. And it's just like, I guess I'd rather her look not like Ellie and play a good Ellie, than her look like Ellie and play a bad Ellie. So
yeah,
especially like she has the mannerisms that Ellie has. She always dropping some cuss words. Like and remember when she got the knife? Like
oh my God,
she threw that bag at her and she went straight for that knife.
hell yeah, pokey poke ain't no joke.
Yeah, what I like is there at the end when she stabbed the guard,
Yeah,
because she knew that she was gonna test negative, and
yeah,
and she'd rather get the jump on him at that point than give him the opportunity to get jump on them.
Yeah.
It was good, man. Did you see the preview for the next episode?
No, I don't like doing previews.
Well, it showed it at the end of the episode.
Yeah,
Uh, it,
didn't watch it.
apparently that's when the clickers are supposed to show up, the first clicker,
Mm,
and like it showed like a scene of them like against some kind of mirror,
hmm.
and you hear them in the background, and you hear Ellie's saying, Ellie's like, "Are they hard to kill?" Like, and, no, she says, "Have you killed one?" And he says, "Yes." And she says, "Are they hard to kill?" And then it just goes off. Like,
Well, I can't wait for the second episode. I'm gonna probably rewatch this episode again because it was so good. Um, I tend to do that, just much like video games where you play a level and the level is so good, you're like, let me go back and play that level again. So yeah, I'll probably do that. I do have a yearning to go back and play the game,
the
and I
game.
know that sounds a little bit weird, but I really do have a feeling to go back in and play this game again because it's. I mean, I have it there. I'm trying to debate. Do I get the PlayStation 5 new version of the game in its highest fidelity and to see it through those eyes, or do I wait for the remake of this game for the TV show? I don't know what I'll do, but I'm on board. I'm on board for this. I thought it would be something different. I thought I'd have something negative to say, but I don't have a negative word to say about this.
Nothing at all. And I really thought I wasn't gonna like this. Like I can't imagine. I didn't. I honestly didn't think they were gonna do it because I've been burned so many times with TV shows, and you hear about them not doing the spores and some of the casting questioning, and it's just like this is about to bomb. Like, but
Yeah,
they
that one
surprised me.
scene, when they had the how they went down to the bottom when they saw the decomposing guy against the wall, the fungus.
And how like reactionary she was. Like
Right.
they knew what that was. Like,
He said the PlayStation version is a mint diamond. Yeah, send me the code.
all right, so I guess we'll move on to the next